When I decorated our home, my husband's family stormed in and replaced everything, grinning. A wife must follow her husband's family's taste. My husband just shrugged. I smiled and let them finish. But the next morning, they returned to a house so transformed it sent shockwaves through the entire family. I was standing in the living room, paintbrush in hand, admiring the soft blue walls that I had just finished. It felt like a sanctuary, a reflection of my personality. But my moment of peace shattered when the door burst open and in stormed my husband's family. "Look at this disaster," my mother-in-law exclaimed, her voice sharp and disapproving. My heart raced as I watched them assess my hard work, their eyes narrowing in judgment. Before I could even process what was happening, they began to replace my carefully chosen decor with bland, generic items. "Why would you choose such a childish color?" my sister-in-law sneered, crossing her arms. I felt a wave of disbelief wash over me. My husband stood beside me, shrugging as if to say, "What can you do?" I forced a smile, letting them continue their takeover, but inside, a fire ignited. I would reclaim my space. I would show them that this was my home too, and I had a plan to transform it back into something that truly represented me. My name is Sarah, and I had always dreamed of creating a home that reflected my personality. When I married Jake, I thought I was marrying into a supportive family. At first, everything seemed perfect. Jake was kind, and we shared a vision for our future. But as time went on, I realized that his family had a stronghold on our lives, especially when it came to our home. My mother-in-law, in particular, had a way of imposing her tastes on everything. She believed that a wife should follow her husband's family's preferences, and I often felt like an outsider in my own home. I wanted to create a space that felt like mine, filled with colors and decor that resonated with my identity. Growing up, my parents had encouraged me to express myself through art and design. I had spent years collecting pieces that told my story, each item a memory, a reflection of who I was. But every time I tried to assert my vision, I was met with resistance. The day I decided to repaint the living room was a turning point. I wanted to reclaim my space, to assert my identity within a family that often overshadowed me. I hoped that by creating a home that felt authentically mine, I could foster a sense of belonging and respect. But as I stood there, watching my in-laws dismantle my efforts, I felt a mix of anger and helplessness. I knew I had to find a way to stand my ground without causing a rift. I wanted to show them that my choices mattered, that I could create a beautiful home that honored both my tastes and our shared life. Have you ever felt like your home wasn't truly yours? Maybe you faced similar challenges with in-laws who impose their tastes on you. It's a frustrating experience, isn't it? As I stood there, watching my mother-in-law and sister-in-law replace my decor, I couldn't help but wonder how others handle such situations. Do you stand your ground, or do you let them take over? I wanted to hear your stories. How do you navigate the delicate balance between family expectations and personal expression? Let's dive into this journey together, exploring the emotional turmoil and the choices we make to reclaim our spaces. As my in-laws continued their takeover, the atmosphere in the room grew tense. My mother-in-law directed the operation with an iron fist, her voice cutting through the air. "This vase doesn't match anything. Get rid of it," she ordered, tossing aside a piece I had cherished for years. I felt my heart race as I watched them replace my vibrant cushions with dull, beige ones. Each item they removed felt like a piece of my identity being stripped away. My sister-in-law chimed in, "This art is too abstract. Let's put up something more traditional." I stood frozen, a mix of disbelief and anger bubbling inside me. I wanted to shout, to tell them that this was my home too, but I held back. Instead, I forced a smile, trying to maintain the peace. With each passing moment, I felt my resolve strengthen. I knew I had to let them finish this round, but I also knew that I wouldn't give up. I would reclaim my space, and I would do it in a way that would leave them speechless. As they continued to rearrange my home, I began to formulate a plan. I would transform the space overnight, turning it into a vibrant reflection of who I was. I envisioned bold colors, eclectic decor, and personal touches that would make it unmistakably mine. The tension in the room was palpable, but I felt a flicker of hope. I could see my husband watching, his expression a mix of confusion and concern. I wanted him to understand that this was about more than just decor. It was about my identity and our shared life. I decided to bide my time, letting them believe they had won this round. But deep down, I was ready to fight back. I would show them that I could create a home that felt like a true sanctuary, one that honored my tastes and my journey. The pivotal moment came late that night as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. I felt a mix of resignation and determination. I had let them take over, but I wouldn't let this be the end. I needed to reclaim my space, to transform it into something that felt like home. As I closed my eyes, a plan began to form. I would wake up early, gather all the decor I had hidden away, and create a space that truly represented me. I envisioned vibrant colors, eclectic pieces, and a warmth that would envelop anyone who entered. The next morning, I rose before dawn, fueled by a sense of purpose. I gathered my hidden treasures, artwork, cushions, and decor that spoke to my soul. I painted accent walls, hung my favorite pieces, and arranged the furniture in a way that felt inviting and warm. When my husband's family returned, I could hardly contain my excitement. I had transformed the living room into a vibrant, eclectic space that felt like home. As they walked in, their jaws dropped. "What happened here?" My mother-in-law stammered, her voice a mix of shock and anger. "I redecorated," I replied, a smile creeping onto my face. I thought it was time for a change. In that moment, I felt a surge of confidence. I had taken a stand, and I was ready to defend my choices. This was my home, and I would make it a place that reflected who I was. Have you ever faced a situation where your personal space felt invaded by family expectations? How did you handle it? I want to hear your stories. It's tough to navigate the delicate balance between asserting your identity and maintaining family harmony. As I stood there, watching my mother-in-law and sister-in-law replace my decor, I couldn't help but wonder how others manage similar challenges. Do you stand your ground, or do you let them take over? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your insights could help others who find themselves in similar situations. Let's dive into this journey together, exploring the emotional turmoil and the choices we make to reclaim our spaces. That night, as I lay in bed, I envisioned my plan for transformation. I recalled the vibrant colors and eclectic pieces I had collected over the years, each item a reflection of my journey. I remembered the bright yellow vase from my travels, the abstract art that spoke to my soul, and the cozy cushions that made me feel at home. In my mind, I could see the living room coming to life with these elements. I would paint accent walls in bold colors, hang my favorite artwork, and arrange the furniture to create an inviting atmosphere. This wasn't just about decor. It was about reclaiming my identity within a space that felt stifled. As I gathered my hidden treasures the next morning, I felt a surge of determination. I realized that I had the power to create a home that reflected who I was. This was my moment of clarity, an aha moment that ignited my strength and agency. I was ready to transform not just the room, but my relationship with my in-laws and myself. As I worked on the transformation, I reached out to my best friend, Mia, who had always been my confidante. I needed someone who understood the emotional weight of the situation. "Mia, you won't believe what happened," I said, my voice trembling with a mix of excitement and anxiety. I explained the chaos of the previous day and my plan to reclaim my space. "Sarah, you have every right to make your home reflect who you are," she replied, her voice steady and reassuring. "You've always had a unique style, and it's beautiful. Don't let anyone take that away from you." Her words resonated deeply. I felt validated and empowered. "I just want them to understand that this is my home too," I confessed. Mia smiled. "You're not just decorating, you're setting boundaries. That's a powerful statement." With her support, I felt more resolute. I knew that I could navigate this confrontation with confidence and perhaps even foster healing within my family dynamics. The next morning, I stood back and admired my work. The living room was transformed into a vibrant, eclectic space that felt like home. I could hardly wait for my husband's family to arrive. When they walked in, their reactions were immediate. My mother-in-law's eyes widened in disbelief, and my sister-in-law's jaw dropped. "What happened here?" My mother-in-law stammered, her voice a mix of shock and anger. "I redecorated," I replied, a smile creeping onto my face. I thought it was time for a change. The tension in the room was palpable. My father-in-law crossed his arms, his expression stern. "This isn't how we do things," he said, his tone accusatory. I took a deep breath, feeling the adrenaline rush through me. "This is my home too. I want it to reflect who I am, not just what you think it should be." My husband stood beside me, his expression shifting from confusion to pride. "Maybe we should all have a say in how the house looks," he suggested, his voice steady. "It's important to both of us." The silence that followed was deafening. I could see my mother-in-law processing his words, her face flushed with anger, but also a hint of respect. "Your taste is unconventional," she finally said, her voice tight. "Maybe," I replied, "but it's mine." As the conversation continued, I felt a shift in the dynamics. I had taken a stand, and my husband's family was beginning to realize that I wouldn't back down. This confrontation was not just about decor. It was about asserting my identity and establishing boundaries. As the tension began to ease, my mother-in-law spoke again, her voice softer this time. "You know, I didn't mean to undermine your choices. I just thought I was helping." In that moment, I realized that her controlling behavior stemmed from her own insecurities. She had always felt the need to maintain control over her family's image, and perhaps she believed that imposing her tastes was a way to protect that image. "Mom, I appreciate your intentions, but I need you to understand that I want to create my own space," Jake interjected, his voice firm yet compassionate. "Sarah deserves to express herself." Hearing him stand up for me was a revelation. It transformed my understanding of our relationship. I had been so focused on my struggles with his family that I hadn't fully recognized his support. As we continued to talk, I uncovered deeper motivations behind their behavior. My mother-in-law shared stories of her own struggles with identity and acceptance within her family. It became clear that we were all navigating our own journeys, and perhaps this confrontation was the catalyst for healing. In that moment, I felt a sense of hope. We were beginning to bridge the gap between our differences, and I realized that this was not just about decor. It was about building a home filled with understanding, respect, and love. With the confrontation behind us, I felt a surge of empowerment. I knew I had to take concrete steps to assert my choices and establish my identity within this family. I gathered my husband and his family in the living room, where the vibrant decor now stood as a testament to my vision. "Let's make this a space we can all enjoy," I proposed, my voice steady. "I want to incorporate elements that reflect all of us, but I need you to respect my choices." I suggested a family art night where we could create pieces together, blending our styles. "Let's hang artwork that represents each of us," I said, pointing to the empty wall. Jake nodded, his eyes shining with pride. "I love that idea. It's a way for us to connect and celebrate our differences." As we began brainstorming, I felt a shift in the atmosphere. This was no longer just my home. It was becoming a shared space, one where everyone's voice mattered. I had taken a stand, and it felt liberating. The immediate aftermath of our conversation was palpable. My mother-in-law, who had once been so controlling, now seemed more open. "I'd love to help with the art night," she said, her tone softer. "I think it's a wonderful idea." I could see the change in her demeanor. She was no longer the imposing figure I had feared. Instead, she was becoming a collaborator. My sister-in-law chimed in. "I can bring some supplies. I've always wanted to try painting." Jake and I exchanged glances, a silent acknowledgement of the progress we were making. The tension that had once filled our home was dissipating, replaced by a sense of camaraderie. As we began to plan the art night, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. This was a new beginning, a chance to redefine our family dynamics. The walls of our home were not just adorned with decor. They were now filled with the promise of connection and understanding. Have you ever faced challenges in establishing boundaries with family? How do you navigate the delicate balance between asserting your identity and maintaining family harmony? I want to hear your stories. Share your experiences in the comments below. It's important to discuss how we can create spaces that reflect who we are while fostering healthy relationships. Let's explore the complexities of family dynamics together. Your insights could help others who find themselves in similar situations. As I reflected on my journey, I realized how much I had grown. The confrontation with my in-laws had been a turning point, not just for my home, but for my relationships. I had learned to assert my identity while also inviting collaboration and understanding. The art night became a cherished tradition in our family. Each piece we created together told a story, blending our individual styles into a beautiful tapestry of shared experiences. My mother in law and I began to bond over our love for design, and I found myself appreciating her perspective more. Jake and I communicated better than ever, discussing our dreams for our home and our future. I felt supported and valued, and I knew he was proud of my journey. Looking around at our transformed space, I felt a deep sense of belonging. This was no longer just a house, it was a home filled with love, respect, and understanding. I had fought for my space, and in doing so, I had fostered healing within our family. As we continue to navigate the complexities of family dynamics, I invite you to join the conversation. What strategies have you found effective in establishing boundaries with family? Let's create a community where we can share our experiences and support one another. Your insights could inspire someone else facing similar challenges. Before you go, I want to leave you with a question. How do you envision your ideal home? And what steps are you willing to take to make it a reality? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep this dialogue going. Together, we can empower each other to create spaces that truly reflect who we are.